Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Packer Universe podcast, aka the Pup List. We're a Green Bay Packers fan podcast that brings you topical and relevant Packers news along with our most humble, subjective opinions. This is episode 311. We're recording this on a Wednesday, April 16th, 2025. This is a video episode, as we usually do. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, go over to YouTube or wherever you want and check us out in video. We'd appreciate it. On this episode, we are going to preview some players to keep your eyes on for the upcoming draft. We got some draft experience updates and maybe a little bit of a roster discussion. I'm your host, Tay, and with me, joining me on the vid tonight is our one and only
Ren. What up, Tay? How you doing on a Wednesday? Our typical day, which is, literally, less than 7 days and 23 hours.
Hey,
it is.
I got it right here.
It is the clock on going in the NFL draft, Tay.
I got the countdown clock off of the Packers website. It's 7 days right now. 7 days, 22 hours, 36 minutes, and 55 seconds. Let's get nuts. It's getting close.
Get
all
nuts,
of a sudden.
Tay. It means we're an hour and 34 minutes into this thing already, a week from today, right?
No. This is Wednesday,
30,
so we get
34 minutes.
we got a whole you gotta add a day to that, Ren. So you got
I said 7. That's on me.
8 days, yeah.
Yep.
No worries. I know math's not your strong suit, but maybe
NFL
players are, and we will get to that in just a little bit. But I just wanted to remind everyone that we had a guest on last week. It was Phil of the Lion and the Cub podcast streaming duo from Detroit. There are enemies from across the pond that we like to bring on from time to time, but Phil shared his experience of going to the draft in Detroit last year, so if you want to check that out, it was really informative and just kind of like he gave you a synopsis of his experience, what he went through going to the draft last year. So go check that out. It's on YouTube and of course in audio podcast form.
And I will say, Tay, I mean, Phil gave us a lot of really good insight, a lot of good questions were asked about the draft experience. I think, it's the draft season, so everybody's talking players, but we have this thing here maybe once in our life, once in our kids' life, once in their kids' life, potentially happening in
this is different.
A little more than 7 days. It's a big deal, and I think there was a lot of cool information with Phil that day and good conversation about what we can all expect up in that, draft theater down, that heading towards the west, from Lombardi Ave. It was it's a pretty interesting thing, and I think we're all going to have a unique experience because I think it's different city to city, and I'd encourage everybody to go check out that episode. Hey, listen, YouTube subscribes, they're free, Tay. It doesn't cost anybody anything, and we've been doing this gratis for a long time and still do, because we're as Phil would have said in that episode, we're a couple sickos, Tay, that's
we're
what
sickos.
we are. And hey, we're Packer fans, we enjoy being Packer fans, and we want everybody else to experience what we're doing and how we're feeling and what we think about it.
I think everyone is excited to go, at least that I've talked to that wants to go. And everyone's asking me, that probably isn't going. Family, friends, adjacent, like, are you going? Are you excited? Yes. There's always that like, holy crap, I'm going to be in a crowd of 125,000 people maybe in the first night, 100,000. So that kind of like can, get you off a little bit. Like, I don't know, but I'm back on, Ren. I'm like, this is it. This is our once probably shot at this, and let's just go up there, have fun, and check it out. But I do have some draft updates for you. The stage is going up. I don't know if you've seen those pictures on social media.
I posted one of those videos today about the first early part of that going up. It's incredible how quickly it's going up, like Phil talked about, and how quickly it'll come down too. So it's amazing. The NFL, the people they have on hand, the people they obviously employ to do the things they need to get done in short order is nothing but incredible when you see a collective that's well organized with, yes, Tay, a lot of the monies and how quickly and how well they can do that. It is a well-oiled machine.
I've been watching some videos, and I like to point out WLUK Fox 11 in Green Bay has put out some amazing YouTube videos and content. Obviously, they're broadcasting on their news at night and stuff, doing stuff. But go to their YouTube channel; they do have a lot of good stuff. So I've been watching those, and some of the information I've gotten from those are like up to date now, and I guess the stadium is going to be open and you can go in there, and obviously they'll limit the number of, they're not going to have the 80,000 that can go in there. They'll have whatever amount, and you can watch the red carpet stuff from there. That's all I've heard that you can watch, but maybe it's for the whole draft. You can go in there and just sit down and watch it on the big screens. That's kind of what I was hoping that they would do. So that does sound like that's happening. And so that's an experience that if you've never been to Lambeau, you get to go sit in there. So I think that's really cool, especially if you can watch some of the events happening and unfolding just outside that you maybe aren't getting able to get close to, but you've got it on the big screen. Because those screens are new, right? If no one realizes this and knows this is year 2 of those big screens, and those are gigantic. So it should be kind of cool experience watching those.
And we're a day too early here, Tay. They're actually announcing the live performances tomorrow with regard to some of the musical acts that'll be there. I assume mostly day 1, day 2, but I don't know why they keep this from everybody. Obviously, they know it's going to be well attended either way, but it would be nice to know and where that will be. We have no idea. You have no idea. Nobody has any idea where they're.
I think it's going to be. I think that's going to be in the stadium. I want to say, but I was watching a video on the lady that is in charge of their event, and she was indicating that this concert you're referencing was going to be the one after day 3, Saturday night, which is like their big name, and they're going to announce that tomorrow morning. So whatever that is,
that will be the closeout of the whole NFL draft ceremony. Yeah. Okay.
So I mean, I don't think it'll be someone that you and I maybe particularly want to see. Well, but maybe. I mean, Less Than Jake is playing like places downtown Green Bay. It's like, okay, at least I know that name.
Less Than Jake's going to be there?
They're not going to be at Lambeau in the campus, but they're Green Bay's hosting other events like downtown to kind of, while people are here, bring them in to show off, Green Bay. And
I guess maybe I'll be leaving you to go see Less Than Jake Friday night. All right.
Well, I don't know when that is. You have to check that, but
I'll check it out. Okay?
If you slightly disappear somewhere, I'll be like, he's less than Ren right now.
That's all right. You might be less than me. That is for sure.
But they've evidently they're going to have the atrium open, which we knew. But all the bathrooms, concessions, all that sounds like it's going to be open. And so the ring, right? So you can, if you have your favorite bathroom at Lambeau, feel free to go, go to your favorite throne if you want. But all the concessions will be open, evidently, not just in the ring outside the bowl, but a lot of other places they'll have tents and stuff. So that makes me feel better, because I don't know, maybe I'm just used to it. I didn't know what to expect when I go into Lambeau in the concessions and the bathrooms. So everything else is unknown. But at least like that, it's like, okay, well, I know what to expect. So hopefully the lines aren't too long with that stuff.
Will your bladder explode?
Probably.
Where are the TVs when it's game time in the bathroom? We know what to expect. Yeah, it's not a fantastic experience.
Maybe Wayne Larrivee is going to be on radio.
Game day experience, no doubt.
That's true. Let's see, the times for draft start. They start at noon. I think maybe an hour earlier on Saturday, or hour or two, and then the draft theater opens at 5 on Thursday, and I guess in Titletown and throughout that open area, there are going to be exhibits that you can still shop, places obviously eat, and then there'll be player autographs. And I don't think it's just going to be Packer players. I think there's going to be players. I
know Drew Brees is in town. Yeah. On Thursday night, there'll be a lot of Hall of Famers, people like that. I mean, like Phil said, Tay, you get the glitz and glam on Thursday night. A lot of people in town. probably are flying out later that night or even the next morning.
Yeah.
It's really a big production night one, still a little bit less so night two, and then it's really, I think it's more the city fan experience on day three for sure.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. I think still more information will come out, like we kind of alluded to, and you and I will be talking about what we're going to be doing when we go and when we go. So I think we decided before we started recording that we're gonna put out a little episode maybe on Tuesday of our kind of like first takeaway style of show, where we just do a quick 10-15 minute episode of kind of what we expect. And that includes the draft experience, of course, not just what the Packers actually do. But one more thing before we get to some preview players, Ren. There were some roster moves, I guess, we can talk about in the category of that. They re-signed tight end John Fitzpatrick. He was on the team. He had left, and then they got him back. Does that indicate to you that they're not interested in drafting a tight end next weekend?
No, it's a min contract if he makes the team.
Always if.
It's really a roster invite at this point with regard to him. I think he did play, I want to say in the playoff game, caught one pass for like 2 yards or something of that nature. But again, nothing to put any stock in. Is he on the team to break the 2025 roster come September? So,
right.
Yeah. Isaiah Simmons, a former first-round pick, Tay, also was in town. They did not walk away with him. I think he would have been, as others say, a good Christian Welch replacement. You need to have, a spot linebacker, special teams guy. But other than that, Tay, unless you got something else to tell me that I didn't hear, there's really not much roster movement.
No, but somewhat in the Venn diagram of that is the Jair talk this week.
Jair, you going to tie that into Jalen Ramsey as well?
I'm not, but you can. Some of the major beat writers, Silverstein and Rob Demoski, are reporting basically that there has been interest. The Packers say that there has been interest in Jair, but nothing's happened yet. They don't know if it will during draft time. Maybe afterwards, once it's kind of obvious. Like, what if a team doesn't address their needs in the draft? Then, okay, now we need somebody. Let's see what they're going to get for Jair. But all indications is that what we kind of thought was guaranteed almost now in the eyes of the media and the fan base is that Jair is gone. He does not want to be here. They don't want him on the roster, so something's going to happen. So I think that was just kind of, we knew that. We kind of figured that, but now it seems like it's definitely that way. So, I don't know. We talked about how maybe Jair would actually be useful if he was still on the team.
Sure.
But
absolutely.
I just... all the 8 ball says 23 is out of town, so we'll see what happens.
And I think it's always said that, but you have to play the other side of the coin, which is, hey, maybe they make it work for a year, and it's still possible that could still happen. It seems outlandish, and I would say it is outlandish at this point. I think it'll be moved draft night or draft night 2 or draft day 3, but inevitably, I think the parting the ways was, already out there on the table.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get into some players to kind of keep your eye on. Kind of previewing some potential draft picks, but I want to preface this by kind of saying this. So the Packers have 8 selections in the 2025 draft. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 2 in the 7th round. The ones in the 7th round, one's from Pittsburgh, from Preston Smith, I believe, and then one is a comp. The last one's a comp from losing Nyman, I think, Yash. So we have 8 total in all 7 rounds. Obviously, that won't stay the same, but that's how we enter this draft. And secondly, team needs that Oops, that's not the one I wanted. Let me back out of here. Oh my gosh, Ren, I got it all screwed up. It's okay. The Packers team needs we've identified as defensive end, the edge rush component, the cornerbacks, the wide receivers, and the D linemen or the interior D linemen. Those are like the D tackles. Those are like the four positions that you and I think that they need to target in this draft, regardless of when they are. But the other ones are kind of like, okay, depth pieces, but these are kind of like our needs. I guess I'll throw it to you. You kind of made up a list that we'll go through tonight. And tell me a little bit about how you came up with this list. What are the qualifiers? And then we'll jump into, I guess, whatever position you want. Wide receivers, maybe start on offense.
I mean, that's an exciting one, Tay, because that's the only offensive group we're going to talk about. I didn't even want to bring in offensive linemen. While I do think, somewhere from round 3 to 6, they're going to take an offensive lineman. Obviously, I mean, could they sneak up and just blow you out of the water with another Jordan Morgan? Certainly they could, but I would be shocked if they did, based on spending the money they did here in the offseason with Aaron Banks, having that competition with Sean Ryan and Jordan Morgan, along with obviously Rasheed Walker and Jordan Morgan. So I think the line is in okay shape, Tay, at least in the short term through the 2025 season. It's just not a position group I want to spend time talking about. It's not sexy at number one. Wide receivers, they certainly are, and they're becoming more and more important in the modern day NFL. And generally, wide receivers 20 years ago when they took Javon Walker normally don't come into the league and make a big impact, and nowadays they do. I mean, you expect a first or second round wide receiver, to come in and start making an impact on your ball club year one. Whereas, even when they took Jordy Nelson, where they did in the second round years ago, what are we talking? Year 3, in the Super Bowl, he has his breakout game. It doesn't work that way anymore. So when we get to this position, obviously, I don't know how much you know about the group. It's a really, really shallow group with high-end talent in the 2025 draft. There's not a lot here. And what'll be there when they pick at 23 is probably not going to fit unless they trade down. Totoro McMillan out of Arizona, could he slip where they decide, hey, let's move up, get a guy that's got good size, high points the ball well, generally wins matchups, not great outside speed, but is just a good outside receiver? Sure, they could. They were at his pro day. Brian Gutekunst was there, feet on the ground with regard to that kid. My guy is Jaden Higgins, Iowa State, 6'4", 214. He's got the 9.63 RAS, Packer guy.
Nice.
4.47 speed. But he's not good at separating from the football. But he never drops it, Tay. So that's a guy everybody's talked about recently. If you want to fall in love with a guy that the Packers would take, I hope they don't take him at 23. Maybe they trade down, take him at 29, get an extra late second-round pick. That'd be perfect. Then you go, yep, sounds good. We'll double up in the second round, day 2. Awesome. He can catch it because he is so big, Tay. They need a guy. We talk about, obviously, Romeo, Christian, Dontavian, and there's one more on the roster. They're all free agents after next year. So not only do you need a big guy that can go play outside, you just need somebody for the future. Let's be honest. Let's get some rapport going with Jordan and start building that now rather than wait another year. So I think they need to take a guy high. I don't know how good I feel about Jaden Higgins at 23. Torrey Horton out of Colorado, 6'2", 196, shorter arm guy, 4.41 speed, also can play on the outside. That's an interesting pick. Certainly not a first-round guy, in my opinion. Somebody get in the second round, they could. Matthew Golden out of Texas. He's got another running mate in Texas, Isaiah Bond. Likes to call himself James Bond. Where's number 7? He's the speedster out there. There's nobody I love here outside of Higgins. I just like Higgins because he's just definitely that Packer type, big body. They'll use a pick on a guy like that, but certainly too high at 13. What do you know about any receiver? And again, it's super shallow, Tay. One of the names before I get to you is Emeka Mbuka out of Ohio State, but he's primarily a slot guy. Do they even know a slot guy, Tay? No. These
Yeah.
guys I'm mentioning, for the purpose of the Packers, can play outside. We know they've got obviously Jay Reed in the slot. They just brought in the guy. What is it? How do we decide we want to pronounce um, the wide receiver out of Kansas City's name, Tay? Mercole, Marcole,
It's Miko.
Mecole.
Miko.
There you go.
Yeah.
Mecole Hardman. You know, he's not going to really play much from a wide receiver position other than be a gadget guy. But they got too many slot guys, Tay. Not enough outside guys. That's my point. And they need to find something there that works. But interesting.
Well,
What do you think about it?
I don't. I'm not a draft college guy at all. So that is not my forte, as I like to say. I leave that and defer that stuff to you. And I'm glad you're bringing this to the table. It's definitely not in my wheelhouse. So I will take your word for it. Jaden Higgins at 23, bring it home all day. But I wanted to convey something to the audience that's watching some of the video. I put up these kind of like a spreadsheet style list here of the players that you've selected, and I have a little rank there, and you'll see that into the third to the last column. That is the position rank that the player qualifies for, and Torrey Horton was 14th on the wide receiver list compared to the 1, 3, and 5 of the first three. So I guess I wanted to ask you why you picked Torrey Horton, who was on a consensus list number 14th overall on the wide receivers, versus someone that, and you're even saying I wouldn't necessarily pick him at 23. I'd trade down and pick him up later. Why did you select him? I guess why that strategy?
Again, you're talking Packer types here, Tay. That's what it comes down to. A lot of the other receivers in between where you see that on a list are going to be slot guys. And there's a lot of questionable makeup in this whole wide receiver class. Yeah, Torrey would be also a little bit of a flyer on that guy. But the Packers have a type when it comes to that position, especially when you're playing them outside. They do not draft short guys. Outside of Amari Rodgers, we know how that worked out, Tay. Not at all. So 6'2", 196, but good speed. So a guy can give you a little bit of a potentially, outside receiver piece with a little speed. But the reality is, again, who are guys that fit, who are guys that don't. This is a really, really, really shallow draft at the wide receiver position. You've heard all the draft nicks out there talk about it over the last few weeks. If you're listening to mock drafts, there's not a lot of great stuff here today. To me, there's one A and one B, and that's Tet McMillan and Jaden Higgins. And if it's not one of those two, just go take flyers in rounds 5 through 7 and, get it done and worry about it next year.
Right. All right, let's move on to the anti-wide receiver. That would be the receivers that can't catch, the cornerbacks, Ren. Let's bring those guys up here. You've got 4 on this list, 2, and I see, some are tall, some are small, but yeah, take me through this list.
Well, you've got the guy that's moving up on the list on Packer Mocks, Maxwell Harrison out of Kentucky. He's right on the edge, Tay. Smaller guys, got some, doesn't hit all the Packer comps. That's a concern. But he had 4 interceptions, 11 pass breakups last year. Jahdae Barron, Texas, 5 interceptions, 9 pass breakups. Will Johnson's the interesting one, Tay. That's the guy really should be drafted somewhere in the top 20. But if he falls to him, it's an all day on every Sunday in the NFL. You want to see the guy play for your team. Just has the intangibles, how he moves with guys as they run routes, instinctive, can do all the things you want. There are other guys that are not on the list, like Ben Morrison, 2 hip injuries. we've had issues like we talked off the mic with Eric Stokes. You don't want to see like a guy like that drafted in the first, second round by the Packers. This guy might not ever be the same guy he was when he was at his prime in college football. Do you want to take, a swing there? I'm not so sure. Um, Guys like Trey Amos out of Ole Miss are moving up the board. Noel Williams out of Cal are moving up the board. And then you have Azaria Thomas out of Florida State. Another good prospect there. But if they were to take cornerback early, I'd rather have it be Will Johnson because he fell, or nobody at all. I have too much shell shock from, Demarius Randall to Eric Stokes to, the failing of the Jair experiment now was great early, not so much late. A lot of cornerbacks taken over the years, Joshua Jacksons of the world, and they spent a lot of high draft capital on
Kevin
cornerbacks
King.
today. Kevin King, thank you. Unfortunately, you mentioned that. We know all the TJ Watt thing there. There's just too much trauma with cornerbacks in the first round. I would, if I can miss a position group in the first round today, tomorrow, 3 years from now, give me a cornerback in the second round. Get me one in the third round. Let's talk about it later. They made it work with the guys they had last year with Valentine. Obviously, they're bringing in Hobbs. Keyshawn can play the boundary. They can make it work and bring in a young guy, but he doesn't necessarily have to be that first-round pick. Please don't. That's all I ask for. Please don't, unless it's Will Johnson. You got that prayer. I would hate to see any one of these guys inserted with too many questions today.
So do not draft a cornerback, Ren says, unless they fall to you and it's a good position. He's got like PTCB. Is that what you got?
I do have PTCB today.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you? I mean,
yeah.
I just started a list, and I think it's a lot deeper with what I rolled off the top of my head. They're not good at it today. They're just not, and I'm sick of it. So,
well,
let's go somewhere else that's a little bit more. Hey, we can get excited about it at least in the short term, than worry about. God, if they took Ben Morrison at 23 today, I would be sick to my stomach.
I hear what you're saying, and it makes total sense, and I'm on board with it. But I'll play devil's advocate a little bit. Like, this year is a different set of draft prospects. They're not who came before them. You can't, punish this draft class for our mistakes in the past. What if the Packers really love a particular guy and they draft him in the first round? It's just, you can't go by track record to say a player that is playing now.
You can't
say that
do you
player.
Think some teams emulate the pack or want to emulate the Packers draft piece on the quarterback position? Do you think they want to do that? Well, they don't want to do what the Packers have done at the cornerback position.
But Packers do. There's a strategy there, and it's worked out. Like drafting someone number 1 overall and sticking him on a bad team, that doesn't really work out too often. Just because you listed off all those first round CBs that we take doesn't mean that Jade Barron, like
Jade
is it going to
Barron?
be Jade? Yep. Is it maybe that Ja for Ja? Maybe we take that. But I mean, Will Johnson could be a bust, but going into the draft, he looks, all signs say yes, so you do it. I'm just playing a little devil's advocate. You can't blame the current player on the history of the Packers draft.
I think maybe it's not a position group they have scouted or have the proper scouting abilities to get right. And until they prove me wrong, and that would mean taking one this year in the first round, and then 2 years from now in the first round, and 3 years from now in the first round, and they all are like, oh, they're really great. You're not going to change my thought process on how the Green Bay Packers GM and scouting folks do with cornerbacks.
Yeah.
It's not been good. It's not been good at all. Let's do it somewhere else.
Yep.
No, how about wide receiver, Tay? We just talked about it. How they've left that alone for 20 plus years. How about skill position guys? Yeah. Let's try something new.
I
How
feel
about
like their fear of that being a bust maybe outweighs of them taking a cornerback at number one. What who knows? Let's move on to the edge rush. Let's do that. Edge rushers. We got Lucas Van Ness. We got Rashawn Gary. We got Carl, or whatever his name is. And that's pretty much it, right? Like Preston's gone, the old man's gone, and the pass rush pretty much sucked last year. So could be a good position to target in the first round, Ren. Tell me.
I mean, they need one. That's what we wanted in free agency, Tay. Just get us an edge guy to add to the room. Did they do it? Did they make us all feel better about it when we were praying for that, 5 weeks ago? Nope. Didn't get it. So now here we are, thinner edge class, guys that are Packer types, Tay, Shamar Stewart, Texas A&M, Raz score guy. Not great production though. Again, kind of that weird piece, but we're talking, hey, here's a Edgerrin Cooper teammate, Donovan Ezeraku, Boston College. We got a Halfley guy, Tay.
What?
Yep, smaller guy, but dude had 16.5 sacks last year. Production. Look at that. That's incredible. The all Packer comp in the last 2 weeks, doesn't matter if it's, our podcast, Andy's podcast, Bukowski's podcast, Cheesehead TV, doesn't matter. The consensus, Cooper DeJean of the 2025 NFL draft, first round.
Okay.
If he's there, he is a Packer type. Michael Williams, Georgia, had a visit to Green Bay as one of their top 30 visits. Like, that's the guy that is Packer people. But we've seen a lot of Georgia guys come through the last few years that also didn't totally pan out, Say they wear the G, but, is this guy going to get it done with that G? I don't know, Tay. But that's the consensus edge guy. If there's a Packer edge, that's the guy. James Pierce Jr., Tennessee, also a visit with the Packers. Just some guys to look for there. I'm really not in love with edge guys they can get at 23 there later. We'll see. The D tackles, Tay, are the ones that do it for me, to be honest.
All right, let's switch to that.
That's kind of the sexy pick for me this year. Either a wide receiver, or a D tackle, D lineman. It's one of the deepest positions as well in the 2025 draft. Derek Harmon, Tay, out of Oregon, or Oregon, if you like Oregon. He's a good pass rusher, led all DTs and pressures in 2024. He's also good on closing on running back stage. So you got the full picture of an interior defensive lineman. Kenny Clark he's about done. They need a guy. They're going to have to check on the option for Wyatt here in a few weeks. So they're going to have a lot of questions in the interior defensive lineman. The one thing they mark him up for is simply too many missed tackles. He gets in position, but sometimes when he's there, he doesn't make the tackle when he needs to. Kenneth Grant, Michigan, Tay. This dude is huge, Tay. He is 331 pounds, but he is an athlete. Again, we're talking Raz score guy. He can pass rush. He had 3 sacks, 7 tackles for losses last year. 5 passes, Tay. 5, count them, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 passes batted down. That's also an incredible thing to be able to do. Chris Jones in Kansas City, those are the kind of guys you want to have playing. And when you saw him play, Chris Jones, against the Niners about, 4 years ago, Super Bowl, batting down passes late in the game and how important that was. You're talking just a mountain of man. I'm a Kenneth Grant fan. He's good against the pass and the run. You can insert him right away. He's going to do things, probably Packer style. If they did draft a guy like that, they'd probably bring him along slowly, Tay, because we know they like to do that. And one other guy, if you want to bring up a name, Walter Nolan out of Mississippi, also had a visit in Green Bay. another athlete, explosive, 6.5 sacks last year, 14 tackles for losses, 3 pass breakups, and one of the youngest of this group at 21 years old. So, lot of game to play left in Walter, and it's so deep. Tyleek Williams, Shamar Turner, Darius Alexander. You're talking guys up and down the board, rounds 1 through 3, that you might be able to get there. But honestly, Tay, where these games won and lost, the trenches. And we're not talking about offensive linemen this year, but hey, D linemen are massively important. We saw what that did for the Philadelphia Eagles, and getting them ultimately a championship. So if they end up in the first round with Derek Harmon or Kenneth Grant, I'm feeling pretty good on Thursday, Tay.
Okay.
I'm feeling pretty good about probably the rest of our draft, put it that way.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that, Ren. I guess the things that come to mind afterwards is when I look at the top 10 players ranked, the consensus ranked. Man, I wish we were picking in the top 5. We could have a pick of the litter. I mean, they're all in positions that we need, like cornerback, edge, wide receiver, defensive interior, tackles, CB, DI. Like there's a lot of awesome players in that top 10 that we would love to have. I don't see a lot of running backs, quarterbacks in the top 10 this year. It's a very different year.
There's the one running back out of I want to say, goodness.
Well,
Idaho.
Jetney.
Yes, thank you.
Boise State. Yep.
Boise State.
Sure, there's one there. Sure.
The one guy I do not want to see go to the Chicago Bears. As long as somebody will take Ashton before it gets, I believe the Bears are 10, I'll be okay.
Okay.
But I think there are a number of teams in front of them that will be in position. You're talking a 10-year talent there, Tay. That's how good I think he will be.
So when I looked down this list, it would be nice if we picked earlier, but we're at 23, which it becomes strategy at that point. How the board falls to you. D tackle, interior D lineman. I know it's deep, but I would prefer probably us wait and pick 2 or 3 later if we have to. I mean, I know you wanted to pick what's Kenneth Grant straight up, right? That'd be great at 23, and maybe that would be great. But I guess looking at everything as a whole, you wouldn't necessarily need to do that if you had your eye on other guys that played well. We just need a home run with this first round pick. I mean, you said it before, our first round picks, not only in the CB territory in that room, but just in general, defensive edge. It's just like, it's not great. Last year, picking an old lineman, it's like, you didn't get to see him. You have no idea what that guy's doing. We don't know. And it's just that kind of stuff, I think, wears on me a little bit, of not getting production, not getting immediate result on a first round pick. I mean, I would love to see that, translate. And you watch most teams, I think, get production out of their first round picks, and we just do not do that.
And honestly, Tay, if you look at 10 years of history in Green Bay, they have not done a good job in the first round. They've done a lot of good work in later rounds, but it's time to stop making excuses and doing better when it comes to these first round picks. I mean, that it matters. And, going back to the DT, the DL guy, I mean, you insert a 330-pound guy in the middle today, you got to use 1 to 2 guys to move that man. That puts a lot of beef right in the middle, and you got to go up the middle to get anything. So it just takes a big guessing point out of the equation that they're going to need, and they haven't had as far as a mountain of man. And I'd go that route myself. But
yeah. I'm okay with any 4 of these positions. I would love to see a splash at wide receiver. I think if you asked me right now, pick one of these guys that we went through tonight and a position. I would say wide receiver. Give me Jaden Higgins. Let's do it. 6'4", 215. I wanted DK Metcalf because he was huge and because he was a big target and can catch the ball. That's kind of seems like this guy to me. And we can have fast receivers. We got Hardman, we have Jaden Reed. I mean, those are our gadget fast players. We need a big dude that can catch the ball, a big target with hands, and it would be so awesome for me, and I think for the Packers, to get a guy like that. So just go do it. Trade down if you. I don't even care. I mean, 8 picks. We're not going to have that when we end the draft. He's going to trade down, but man, unless Jaden Higgins is the type of guy that's gone by 23, and you can't do anything about it. You got to draft, you got to trade back and get a bunch of picks. But I just want to splash. And if you ask me right now, that's who I would pick. Wide receiver, go for it. Like there's no reason to hold you back from that. Draft is in our house, so do it. I guess looking at all these names and positions, Ren, give me your name. What do you pick? What would you select out of these?
Again, you already know that I like the interior defensive line guys. And number 2 would be a receiver, Tay. So if I get one of the two, I'm a happy guy. Again, I am just too much trauma with the cornerbacks in the first round. I don't want any part of it. I don't think any one of these guys outside of Will Johnson are worth the flyer at this point. You see what you get in the second or third round. Go from there. I think what they have already on the roster is good enough for another year to reevaluate it, see what's available in the 2026 draft. I want the wide receiver tag. I think that Jaden Higgins, I think you can essentially move down from, he's really a consensus early second round guy. I think if they really like him, trade down 3 to 6 spots, still get your guy, get an extra top 100 pick, and you're cooking with gas, Tay. I'd love it, and I'd be more than about it.
Nice. Well, hopefully some of this stuff gets true, but like we always say and always know, do not get your hopes up. The Packers love to crush your heart. But that being said,
in the first round for sure, Tay.
Yes. But that being said, we'll be back on Tuesday probably with some predictions, some draft experience, expectations, that sort of thing. So stay tuned for that. We appreciate you guys sticking around. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. We'll be at the draft, so make sure to follow us on social media wherever you do that. We're on there. That way you will see our ugly mugs with the draft stage behind us, and you will love it. Ren, thanks for joining me. You got anything else to say this evening?
I don't, Tay. I'm really looking forward to it, man. I'm kind of nervous too. I mean, I think you were with me. I can't remember all those years ago for the Free Pumpkins concert in downtown Minneapolis. It was insane with hundreds of thousands of people. It is a little nerve-wracking, but at this point, I'm pretty jacked about it, and I look forward to the NFL draft in Green Bay. So until episode 312, Tay, on the Pup List.